60 Minutes Overtime talks to Sharon Alfonsi about her interview with Paul McCartney. Here you are interviewing Sir Paul McCartney. He makes fun when you call him a rock legend, but he is a rock legend.
You're a rock legend.
Yeah, baby. Come on. You talking to a rock legend. All right.
That's how you walk around the house, right?
Ooh, come on. Get it on. Well, I wouldn't say that, but anyway.
Well, he's been famous for a long time.
Who's been famous longer than Paul McCartney? He handles it really well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could learn from the way that he manages fame.
Was it a daunting task?
I was nervous, a little nervous.
So, are you new to 60 Minutes?
I'm the newest.
Are you?
Okay. You really realize, like, this is a part of history. This man was in the middle of history, and, you know, he's done a million interviews. We're good? Mm-hmm. All right, let's just talk about music. I got to tell you, when you're walking around that studio with him.
Yeah, that's a little a Celeste that's from Abbey Road.
It paralyzes you. There were times where, I think I look at the camera and I go, oh my gosh, like, Paul McCartney's playing the piano right here. I don't care how many 60 Minutes cameras were there. It was just me and Paul, and we were having a moment, and he was playing the organ for me.
So that was the first half an hour of the shoot, and she got up and she walked over to me. She's like, yeah, okay, I think I can die now.
Bill Owens, a longtime executive at 60 Minutes, raised his hand to go to England with Sharon Alfonsi and produce the story.
He is a student of the Beatles. He understands their place in history, but he also really, really loves the music.
When was the last time you saw your rooftop performance?
Yeah. A little while ago.
I know way too much about the Beatles.
The reason that we're showing you this is how tight it is.
He was like, you got to see this. Look at how they're looking at each other.
This is about.
So to do a Paul McCartney story is purely selfish. Let's think about that. But I think that's a good point. It's good.
So what is going to satisfy the extreme Beatles fan in this story?
I think he was fairly unguarded. While we were doing the interview, one of his musical techs leaned over to me and was like, I've never heard half of these stories.
So you had said you wrote Let It Be based on a dream. Have you ever had a dream about John?
Oh, yeah, I often have dreams about John or George. I often dream about people who aren't here anymore. I think it's one of the great things about dreams, because you get to re-meet them. You know, you get to hang out with them, and then it's only when you wake up you go, oh yeah, it was a dream.
I can already see the headline, John Lennon visits Paul McCartney in his dreams.
Yeah.
Are they good dreams or bad dreams?
Yeah, they tend to be very good. Yeah.
The relationship was so complicated. They needed each other so much. I think Paul McCartney is the only person who could tell John Lennon no, or that doesn't work.
There was never like, no, well, I really think this is great.
Yeah, you didn't dig in on things.
The other one vetoed it.
Yeah.
It was dead. The earliest example of that was I had a song, saw her standing there. She was just 17. She'd never been a beauty queen, was my line.
Okay.
And John kind of, I go, I'm not sure about that line. So well, let's change it. Just 17, you know what I mean.
Whole different
17,
thing. Yeah.
know what I mean?
Paul McCartney returns again and again to his reflections about insecurities during your interview.
You know, I can imagine looking at Paul McCartney and thinking, well, he wouldn't have any insecurities.
Yeah.
But it's not true.
It was very human, right? I thought he was surprisingly open about that.
I think his insecurity is internal, and that he just wants to make sure that he continues to move the ball forward. Like, how do you do better than Sgt. Pepper's and the White Album, Band on the Run, and, you know, Flaming Pie? He's had all of these unbelievable hits, but yet he still needs to make music.
I just want to know how you feel.
I think it's, if you care about what you're doing, if you really want to get it right, then you've got to deal with insecurities. It's what makes it right. Yeah. You know, because that's wrong. I hate that. I hate the way I sang that. And you've got to say to your producer, can we do that again? He said, I think it's okay. Yeah, I know it isn't. So I'll go out and do it again. You go, oh, That's better.
As many times as he talked about having his own insecurities and what drove him, one of the things that surprised us was all of a sudden he turned to this story about John that I had never heard before.
Because I remember John was a bit insecure. What? John Lennon, you know.
And he gets choked up, Paul does, telling the story.
And I remember him once particularly, strangely out of the blue, saying, I worry about how people are going to remember me. And I was like, John, listen to me. Look at me. You're going to be remembered as one of the greatest people. Getting choked up. I say, you know, because you are, you know, you're fantastic.
Sharon,
Yes.
we've got 5 minutes,
Okay.
so it's just a quick establishing shot where
After watching your interview, I liked him in a way I hadn't before.
I completely agree. He's a natural storyteller. I think he liked to spar a little bit. Like, we had fun. He was reflective and thoughtful, but also didn't take it all so seriously. Do you have a favorite song?
On this, probably I Don't Know. It's probably one of my favourites.
Tell me about that song.
You know, some songs you just write and there's no particular sort of motivation. But sometimes one of the great things motivates a song is anguish. You've just been through something like either very annoying or disappointing or worrying or whatever. And this particular thing, which was just a family thing, and I was in a bit of a sort of tizzy, you know, because I'm a dad, granddad, husband, all these things. And on this occasion, I was a bit kind of frazzled. But I sat down at the piano and kind of worked it all out. So anyway, this song is called I Don't Know, and yeah, because I don't, you know,
You still don't have it figured out?
true. Who has?
Oh, no.
I don't even think the Dalai Lama or the Pope have got it figured
I
out.
know, but Paul McCartney might. No.
No, you know, but in a way it was a good thing because I was sincere about crows at my window
Yeah.
and dogs at my door, and everything was getting a bit much.
Yeah.
So I was able to sort of tell it to the piano. So I had lots of these little things going, a lot of which were unfinished. Didn't have any words, but it was just a little thing. I just knew the chords, knew the melody and everything. And the song Michelle, which was just really just me at parties, mainly at art school parties. John went to art school. And so me and George were like the young kids who were kind of, you know, crashing the party. John would say, you can come along, all right. So we'd wear kind of a black roll neck sweater to try and look very French. And I'd often take the guitar and sit in the corner and thinking, you know, some girl would go, wow,
This French guy.
comment allez-vous? Oh, oui. You know, but
Never happened?
none of that ever happened. But years later, John did say, remember that crazy little French thing you had? He said, you should finish that. So I finished it.
You added Michelle at that point, or you were saying
Yeah,
that
so
back when you
there were
trying
no
to...
words. It was orange, orange,